On a freezing night in February 1978, 5 men left a basketball game in Chico, California. They were grown adults, best friends, and they were happy. Their team was headed to a tournament the very next day. They got into a turquoise and white Mercury Montego, drove away from the stadium, and effectively drove off the face of the earth. When their car was found days later, it was stuck in a snowbank in the Plumas National Forest, 70 miles in the wrong direction. The car worked perfectly. It had gas. It could have been pushed free by 5 strong men. But they didn't push it. Instead they walked away. Into the darkness. Into a blizzard without coats or flashlights. What followed is one of the most baffling and terrifying survival stories in American history. One man would be found starved to death surrounded by enough food to last a year. 4 would be found as bones scattered in the woods. And 1 would never be found at all. This is the story of the Yuba County 5. To understand why this case haunts investigators, you have to understand the boys. That's what their families called them. Ted Weiher, Jack Madruga, Bill Sterling, Jack Hewitt, and Gary Mathias. Ranging in age from 24 to 32, they all lived in Yuba City and Marysville. They were inseparable. Jack Madruga was the driver. He was a responsible man, known for being incredibly protective of his beloved Mercury Montego. He never let anyone else drive it, and he never left it unlocked. Ted Weiher was known as a gentle giant. He had a childlike innocence and a kind heart, but he lacked common sense in dangerous situations. Then there was Gary Mathias. Gary was the outlier. He was an Army veteran who had struggled with drug abuse and schizophrenia in the past, but by 1978, he was doing well. He was on medication, he was stable, and he was the only one in the group with any real outdoor survival training. On February 24, 1978, the boys drove north to Chico to watch a college basketball game. They were in high spirits because their own team, the Gateway Gators, was playing in the Special Olympics tournament the very next day. They had their uniforms laid out on their beds at home. They were obsessed with this game. This is the first clue that something is wrong. They had every reason to come home. After the game at 10 p.m. they stopped at Bears Market in Chico. They bought Hostess cherry pies, a Snickers bar, and a quart of milk. The clerk remembers them. It is the last confirmed sighting of the Yuba County 5 alive. The drive home should have been a straight shot south on Highway 99. 45 minutes. Easy. But they didn't go south. For reasons that died with them, Jack Madruga turned the car east. He drove them up the Oroville-Quincy Highway. Up. Into the mountains. This road isn't a mistake you make lightly. It climbs to 4,000 feet. The road turns from pavement to gravel to rutted dirt. As they climbed, the snow began to fall. A blizzard was moving in. Why did Madruga, a man known for being careful with his car, drive his prized Mercury up a rocky logging road in a snowstorm? Days passed. No sign of the men. Then on February 28th, a park ranger spotted the car. It was abandoned on a snow-covered logging road. Here is the first piece of the puzzle that doesn't fit. The car wasn't really stuck. The wheels were just spinning in loose snow. 5 men could have easily pushed this car out. Even stranger, the gas tank was a quarter full. The engine started immediately when the police hot-wired it. But there were no keys. And the driver's side window was rolled down. In the middle of a blizzard, they left the window down. There were no footprints leading back down the road toward civilization. The only tracks led deeper into the forest. Winter turned to spring. The snow melted. It wasn't until June, 4 months later, that a group of motorcyclists made a grisly discovery 19 miles further up the mountain from the car. They found a Forest Service trailer. It had been broken into. Inside, they found the body of Ted Weiher. And the scene inside that trailer is the stuff of nightmares. Ted was found on a bed, wrapped in 8 sheets. The autopsy revealed he had lost nearly 100 pounds. His beard had grown significantly. This implies he lived for weeks, possibly months, after the car was abandoned. But here is the detail that keeps detectives awake at night. The trailer was a base camp. It had a propane tank for heat. It had a locker full of sea rations, canned food. Enough to feed all 5 men for a year. The locker had been opened. Ted Weiher starved to death surrounded by food. He froze to death in a trailer that had propane and matches. He never opened a single can of food. He never turned on the gas. Why? Was he afraid of something outside? Or was he afraid of something inside with him? As investigators fanned out from the trailer, the tragedy deepened. They found the remains of Jack Madruga and Bill Sterling. They had died near the car, likely of hypothermia on that first night. Further up the trail, Jack Hewitt's father, who had joined the search, found his own son's backbone and jeans. A tragic end for a father's search. But one man is missing. Gary Mathias. Gary's tennis shoes were found in the trailer. He had apparently taken Ted Weiher's leather shoes, which were larger, presumably because his feet had swollen from frostbite. This suggests Gary was alive in the trailer with Ted. Gary Mathias has never been found. Did he walk out for help? Did his schizophrenia medication run out, leading him to wander into the wilderness in a state of psychosis? Or is there a darker answer? There is one final chilling detail that complicates everything. A man named Joseph Shones had driven up that same road the night the boys disappeared. He got his own car stuck in the snow just down the road. While he was sitting in his car, suffering a mild heart attack and waiting for help, he says he saw the Mercury Montego pull up behind him. He saw men get out. He heard a woman's voice. He called for help, but as soon as he did, the lights went out and the men went silent. Later, he claimed he saw flashlights moving in the woods. But when he called out again, the lights vanished. Was Shones hallucinating from pain and the cold? Or did the Yuba County Five see him get spooked and run into the woods because they thought he was the threat? Over 40 years later, the questions remain. Why did they turn east? Why did they flee a working car? Why did Ted Weiher starve in a trailer full of food? Some say it was a collective mental breakdown. Others believe they were chased. What do you think happened on that mountain? Was it a tragedy of errors or something more sinister? If you want to hear about the Russian version of this event, click the video on the screen right now. I'll see you there.